When I was young, I always got to think, how much money must I make in order to be able to support all these people who have taken care of me? I calculated it was 7K, that time in the 1990s. I have that imagination that they will still be around, right? First, that's what I hope, right? But too bad they aren't.
That's what, in your uni days?
No, I was just in, like say, primary school or secondary school.
Oh my goodness. Life has taught me that being open to possibilities can turn a liability into a lifetime of opportunities. Whenever I look back, I'm still proud of the choices I made for my family and myself. Because without the risks that I took and the experiences that I gained, I wouldn't be who I am today. Known to be an inspirational woman who has achieved financial freedom, everything just seems so perfect for this millionaire mum. Little did we know that the woman she is today was due to a tragic incident that changed Pauline's life forever. Yet, she continued to struggle and paved her way to success. Pauline is the epitome of a woman of wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Evelyn and I'm really so excited and so happy to have my interviewee here today.
Hello.
It's Pauline. None other than Pauline
today
herself.
I'm the interviewee, right?
Yes, Pauline, I've heard about your story. I've had a sneak peek of, your life and what prompted you to do all these things, and I've been so encouraged. And I know that, the audience today will be so blessed and so encouraged by your love story. Your life story. Maybe if you want to, you can also tell us about your love story, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, no, but to start things rolling, tell us, what was the first thing that caused you to decide to run the series for women?
My mom passed away when I was very young. And although I didn't grow up with a mom with me, but a lot of women actually inspired me, like my aunt, like people around me, especially women. Right? Maybe later you listen to my story, because maybe in my life I always have this idea that the man can't make it. Okay, nothing wrong with men, really. But okay, I always believe in this, that we have to do things with passion. That's why many of you would know me sharing with people about financial management over the past 10 years. And I just do the same thing. But in fact, for the past 20 years, I also do just one thing, which is education, because I believe in educating people. And especially 10 years ago, I find the importance of everybody, wanting to do this thing and having the need about financial education. And I always find that if we really have the passion, we can really do one thing for a lifetime.
And so I should suppose that, this woman series will just run on for a few more seasons, yeah?
Yeah, and I want to really inspire women, and a lot of women has touched my lives, and I think women play a very, very important role. So I want to encourage and inspire women, and women has a lot of wealth. It's not just financial, but I think in relationship, in really maybe helping the society in grooming the next generation, nurturing the next generation. Yeah, we play such an important role. So women, we have a wealth in us. So that's why I did this thing called the Wow series, Women of Wealth.
So tell us, you mentioned earlier that your mom passed away. So she probably had a very, very limited time to inspire you, and the women who inspire you later on were your aunties and other people.
Yes.
Tell us about how it all started. Why did what happened to your mom?
What happened to my mom? He's actually killed by my dad. Yeah. So what happened was when I was 9 years old. There's a period of time which my dad, he used to be a policeman, right? So I came from, I would say in Chinese we say 小康之家, which means, me and my sis, and together with my dad and mom, we're just a simple family where my dad is a policeman and my mom is a housewife. So yeah, happy family, just live as per normal. Normal life, very boring, but that is the kind of life that we all grew up with, right? But one night, they were in my grandpa's place, and my dad just stabbed my mom. Yeah, and it was in the middle of the night. A few months before this incident happened, my dad was having, now we know the medical term is called depression, right? But at that point of time, he was just not himself. Okay, so what he would do is he would just stare at the window for hours. He would just stare at the wall for hours. And he's just like we thought, I mean, my mom wasn't very highly educated. So being a Chinese family, the thought that comes to her mind is he's being possessed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so something is not right. He's not doing the things that he's supposed to do. And he was just sitting down there, every day. His eyes was like looking into space.
And this was like, all of a sudden, just came about. There was probably some underlying factors, but as a child, you probably didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know it until today, what actually really happened then. Okay, but that was that behavior during that period of time. That's why my mom says, you know what, we should bring him to maybe a medium. That was what, the aunties would just mention it, right? And that's why I brought over to my grandpa's place because he stayed near a temple. The medium said, okay, come during 12 midnight. So at 11:45, they're supposed to move out of the house to go over to that temple. So my mom just came out from the washroom, and my dad, because he's in the kitchen, just saw a knife and just stepped on her. And why is it that she passed away? Because first the knife went through the heart. What's so amazing about my mom is this: after my dad stabbed her, because it's near the window and it's on the 9th floor, my dad wanted to commit suicide. All right, wanted to jump, and my mom immediately hold on to him, all right, and shouted for help. That was where people in the house run out and dash to the kitchen and saw what really happened. And my grandfather pulled him back and asked her to run to the neighbors to seek help. She moved over to the neighbor's house and just managed to knock the door and collapse over there. So that was what I heard. And of course, she was sent to the hospital and didn't make it. It's like overnight, just all of a sudden, my whole life just changed like that.
How old were you then?
9 plus.
Just
9
9.
years old. I remember it was P4. It happened on the 20th of January 1987. Yeah, I can always remember that day. I still don't know what happened. Yeah, they didn't tell me, nobody told us anything and just brought us there to the hospital. I just walked along the path, all right, of the hospital. I know something has happened because it's a hospital, right? And I can still remember right now how long that path was. Because, running in my mind was who. I wasn't told who. And I just walk over and kind of like I was doing my best to listen to the adults. Like hopefully they say something.
Trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. And of course, over there, I started crying. I know something bad has happened, definitely. I started crying, I don't know who, I don't know what. And then of course, after I enter, is my mom lying down there. Yeah, that's where I know she passed away. And I always remember this when I was in the lift. And that night, I went back to my grandpa's place. After that, I slept. I still dreamt of that scene. And I was so happy I dreamt that scene, because I will wake up. I dreamt of the scene. I was in the lift, the hospital lift, in the dream. And I thought, oh, this is not true. It's going to be a dream. So when I wake up, everything will be over. Yeah. But I wake up, actually it's real. Yeah. You see, until now, that image, what happened in that very minute, I can still remember until today. Yeah. So that was actually what happened. Yeah.
So what happened to your father after that?
Well, he was locked up in prison, sentenced for 2.5 years imprisonment. When I first went to visit him, when I was young, my dad was a policeman. I don't know how a young girl would feel, right? When we were young, parents always like to say this, if you are naughty, I'm going to get the police to catch you. This is the only thing that the adults cannot say to me. Because my dad was a policeman and I'm so that thought that my dad was a hero, policeman. Yeah. I always like to do this because they used to wear the police uniform, the buttons. Yeah, what's my pride every Sunday or before he goes to work?
You'll be the one fixing it?
Yes. I will be the one to want to fix that button because it's not this kind of button. It's like those buttons with big, round, golden button. So I'm like so proud to do this, And all of a sudden, overnight, I went to prison to visit my father. I don't know, I sat down there, I wanted to cry, but I said I cannot cry Yeah, but my eyes were rolling in tears, and he came out visiting us in his white. I think they just let me wear those white t-shirts. I also didn't know how to behave or how to react during that moment. It was just like, really, 3 words. I don't know. Really, as much as I want to share how I felt, I can only have that image right now, explaining to you. Really, I keep asking, what has happened? Is this a dream? Maybe I'll wake up the next day. Maybe it's just a very long dream. It's not going to be true. I'm just going to go back, and I'm just being too imaginative as a child to think of such stuff, but no, it's not.
I'm sure it's a lot for a 9-year-old to deal with, having to come to terms with the fact that you've lost a parent and the other parent is also not around anymore. Who was there to look after you?
That's the reason why I was very lucky. My dad's siblings, my mom's siblings, and my grandfather. Yeah, my grandfather has retired then, and he's very strong. Although my grandfather is a very fierce man, old Asian, fierce looking dad, but he has done so much for my father. Every day, without fail, every morning he wake up at about 5 a.m., take a 1-hour journey bus all the way to the prison to visit him. Even though sometimes he doesn't know how to manage or handle us, he will scold us or what, I still think that he's a really, really good dad.
Yeah, so you're very blessed to have, a wonderful granddad, but what about a lack of motherly figure in your life? Did that challenge you in any way, you think?
Not really. Because there's an amazing woman whom I want to acknowledge. She's my aunt. During that period of time, it wasn't easy for my aunt. She's actually my dad's brother's wife. At the point of time, their family, my uncle's family, they're staying with my granddad. So already in a house that has what we term in Singapore a 2-bedroom apartment, 65 square meters. Already there are 5 people staying in there. Now me and my sis, we have to live in there as well for the next few years before my dad comes out. 7 of us in that small house, and only 1 person generating income, and that's my aunt. Yeah, to support 4 children. My uncle's not working. I mean, my granddad has really retired. The good thing is he's living on some of his pension, and she, 1 person, has to work 3 jobs to support us. And she's working in my grandma's hair salon. She's a hairdresser by day. At night, she has to work another night job. On weekends, she worked the other 2 jobs. All in all, she actually took on 3 jobs to support 4 kids, plus a whole family of 7 people. That's where a woman like her really showed me, and she never actually gets support from any of other relatives. And she never once so-called complained about my dad was the one who caused this, that she has to now support another 2. When we were in her house, she never treated us differently. So even until today, we are still very, very close. It's like she has 4 children. So there were a lot of amazing women around my life that showed me a good example. They are not highly educated. Even my grandma, I don't think she's educated, but she can take care of all the grandchildren very well. She will never forget during Chinese New Year, to give ang pao. All right, even though I so-called don't belong to her list of the grandchildren, but we are being treated like one of her grandchildren.
Sorry, can you just help us understand? What do you mean by she is not, you're not treated
because she's my aunt's mom. So she's not really my grandma, although I call her grandma, as a form of a respect, right? Because my aunt is working. So imagine after school, we have to report to my grandma's hair salon, like a childcare center. And she would have to cook dinner for already grandchildren, there are 10, plus my aunt, plus the husbands, and every day about 5+, she will start her mega, cooking.
There's a proverbial saying, I think it's African, that says that, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
You have a village there.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, amongst villages, some are not related by blood.
No.
So like in your case of a grandma, she's really not related,
No.
and she has no obligation to take care of you.
No.
But then she did nonetheless, right?
Yes.
How has all these experiences shaped you, to become who you are today?
That's why I always remember this thing, pay it forward. It's not about how much money we have. Yeah, my aunt didn't have a lot of money, but she has something that is abundance, and that's called love. The love for family, the love for the world, the humanity, and that's all it takes. It's not about the money. If we don't have enough money, what we would do is we just have it lesser. That's why frugality was something that I have to grow up with, and that's the reason why I said financial ability is so important. Because when I was young, I always got to think, how much money must I make? Because if I want to give like $300 to my grandfather, I've got to give like $200 to my dad, like $300 to my aunt, and then my grandma. I have that imagination that they will still be around lah, right? First, that's what I hope, right? But too bad they aren't. So, sorry when you started like that. So I was like, okay, I have to make like, I calculated it was 7K, you know, that time in the 1990s. I have to have 7K, $7,000 at a point of time in Singapore dollars in order to be able to support all these people who have taken care of me.
That was in your uni days?
No, I was just in, like say, primary school or secondary school.
Oh my goodness.
I had that thought. Yeah, I'm grateful to them, although they are not obliged to really bring me up, but they did. Like in December, every time I have to pray hard that they have money, because it's for children. Going to school is everything times A4, to buy the textbooks, to buy the uniform, and because it's Chinese New Year, which is a big thing for the Chinese families. Yeah, even other days we don't have new clothes, but in Chinese New Year we still believe we have new clothes and new shoes. That's how I wish when I grow up. This is my aim, to make sure that I'm financially sound. And when I'm financially sound, I'm able not only to take care of myself. If there's someone whom I can take care of, okay, I'm able to do so. I quit my job 1.5 years later, and I joined the company without a single dollar of pay. I prepared my children to let them know that I have to change our lifestyle. I think of ways how we need not spend a lot of money, yet we can have fun.